I never believed in ghosts or haunted places. I always thought it was just a silly superstition, until that one fateful night when I stayed in room 13 of the old hotel. It was a last-minute trip for a business conference and all the other rooms were booked, except for room 13. I didn't think much of it at the time, brushing off the number as just a coincidence. Little did I know it would be a decision that I would come to regret. As I entered the room, I was immediately hit with a strange feeling. The air was thick and heavy, almost suffocating, but I shrugged it off, thinking it was just my imagination. I unpacked my things and settled in for the night. As I lay in bed, trying to fall asleep, I heard strange noises coming from the bathroom. It sounded like someone was whispering my name. I dismissed it as the old pipes in the hotel and closed my eyes. But soon, the noises became more distinct. I could hear footsteps approaching the bed and the whispering became louder. I sat up, my heart racing in fear. I turned on the lights, but there was no one there. I was alone in the room. As I tried to calm myself down, I noticed a strange symbol etched on the wall. It was a pentagram with strange markings around it. I immediately felt a sense of dread wash over me. I knew this was no ordinary hotel room. I tried to leave the room, but the door wouldn't budge. It was like someone was holding it shut from the other side. I was trapped in this haunted room, with no way out. Suddenly, the temperature in the room dropped drastically. I could see my breath in front of me as I shivered in fear. And then I saw her, a ghostly figure standing in front of the bathroom door. She had long dark hair and a pale face with hollow eyes. She was wearing a white dress, stained with blood. I couldn't move, I was paralyzed with fear. The ghostly figure started moving closer to me, her eyes fixed on mine. And then she spoke. "Leave this room before it's too late." Her voice was cold and haunting. I couldn't take it anymore. I ran to the door and started banging on it, screaming for help. Finally, the door opened and I stumbled out, panting and sweating. The hotel staff rushed to my aid, asking me what had happened. I couldn't find the words to explain what I had just experienced. All I could do was point to room 13. When the staff entered the room, they found no trace of the ghostly figure or the strange symbol on the wall. It was as if nothing had happened. But I knew the truth. Room 13 was haunted by an evil entity, and I had narrowly escaped its grasp. From that day on, I never dismissed stories of haunted places again. And whenever I see the number 13, I am reminded of the night I spent in the haunted hotel room. I woke up to the sound of my phone ringing. It was my best friend, Sarah, asking if I wanted to go on a hike with her. Being the adventurous person that I am, I immediately said yes. We decided to go to a nearby forest that had a trail leading up to a beautiful viewpoint. As we started our hike, everything seemed normal. The sun was shining, birds were chirping, and the trees were swaying gently in the breeze. But as we got deeper into the forest, I couldn't shake off this uneasy feeling. It was as if we were being watched. Sarah noticed my uneasiness and asked if everything was okay. I told her I was just being paranoid and we continued on our hike. However, the feeling only grew stronger as we reached the viewpoint. It was then that I noticed a thick fog starting to roll in. We decided to take a break and have some snacks while we waited for the fog to clear. But as we were sitting there, I saw something move in the fog. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but then I saw it again. Two shadowy figures standing just at the edge of the fog. I nudged Sarah and pointed towards the figures. She looked and immediately grabbed my hand. We both stood up, ready to run if we needed to. But as we looked again, the figures were gone. We brushed it off as our minds playing tricks on us and continued on with our hike. As we were making our way back down the trail, the fog had gotten thicker and the sun was starting to set. I could hear Sarah's breathing getting faster and I knew she was just as scared as I was. We quickened our pace, desperate to get out of the forest. But then, we heard a rustling in the bushes behind us. We both turned around to see the same two shadowy figures from earlier, but this time they were closer. We could see their red eyes glowing in the darkness of the fog. Without a second thought, we started running, our hearts pounding in our chests. We could hear the figures getting closer and closer, their heavy footsteps echoing in the fog. We finally reached the end of the trail and burst out of the forest, gasping for air. We didn't stop running until we reached Sarah's car. We quickly got in and locked the doors, still trembling from the adrenaline. As we drove away, I couldn't help but look back at the forest. The fog had cleared, but the figures were still there, standing at the edge of the trees, watching us with their red eyes. I never went back to that forest again, and neither did Sarah. We never talked about that day, but I could tell that we both knew what we saw was real. To this day, I still get chills whenever I think about the shadowy figures in the fog. I don't know who or what they were, but I hope I never have to encounter them again. I always knew there was something off about my new apartment. The rent was cheap and the location was perfect, but there was an eerie feeling that lingered in the air. At first, I dismissed it as my imagination playing tricks on me. But as the days went by, the feeling only grew stronger. I tried to brush it off and focus on unpacking and settling into my new place. But every night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. It was as if there was someone or something lurking in the shadows of my room. One night, I woke up to a loud banging sound coming from my closet. I sat up in bed, heart racing, and turned on the bedside lamp. The banging stopped, but I could hear faint whispers coming from the closet. I was frozen with fear, unable to move or even scream. Just when I thought I was losing my mind, a figure emerged from the closet. It was a tall, dark entity with glowing red eyes. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was a demon. The demon spoke to me in a deep, menacing voice. It told me that it had been trapped in this apartment for years, waiting for someone to move in so it could finally escape. And now it had chosen me as its vessel. I was paralyzed with fear, unable to run or even speak. The demon entered my body and I could feel its presence taking over. I was no longer in control of my own body. As the days went by, I could feel the demon's influence growing stronger. It made me do things I would never do, like hurting myself and those around me. I watched in horror as it destroyed my relationships and my sanity. But deep down, I knew this wasn't me. It was the demon within me, controlling my every move. I desperately searched for a way to get rid of it, but it seemed like there was no escape. One night, as I lay in bed, I heard a voice calling out to me. It was a priest who had come to perform an exorcism. With the help of the priest, I was finally able to rid myself of the demon's hold. As I sat in my now empty apartment, I couldn't help but feel relieved and terrified at the same time. The demon was gone, but I knew it was still out there, waiting for its next victim. I quickly packed my things and left the apartment, never looking back. I couldn't shake off the feeling that the demon was still following me, watching my every move. From that day on, I made sure to always listen to my instincts and never ignore any signs of danger. I learned the hard way that sometimes the scariest things are the ones that lurk within us, waiting to be unleashed.